30 captive beluga whales are looking for a new home after a marine park in Canada announced it could no longer afford to care for the animals. There were initial fears the whales from Marineland would be euthanized as they cannot be safely released into the wild. But it now looks like the belugas could be headed to the US. Let's learn more about these animals with wildlife scientist Dr Vanessa Pirotta. Good to have you on the program today. So Marineland in Canada has been given conditional government approval for these beluga whales to be moved out of Canada. What can you tell us about the characteristics of these whales and how such large mammals are able to live in captivity?
Well, this is likely the last of what we'll see in captivity, because the reality is people don't want to see marine mammals like dolphins and whales in captivity. So beluga whales, they're found in the Arctic, Northern Hemisphere. Polar bears may eat them. They are part of the marine ecosystem. They're white. They've got a very melon. Their head is maneuverable. They make lots of sounds. They're very social like you and I, and they're quite inquisitive, but in a captive environment, they really show their characteristics as well. So highly intelligent, but 30 of them, that's a lot of whales. And that's a lot of questions as to where they're going.
Yeah, where they're going is one question. How are they going to be moved? And are they? Do you think there are proper safeguards for them, for these 30 beautiful creatures to be moved safely?
Well, this is the key thing. We must remember that whilst they are under human care, we have an ethical obligation to look after them. So throughout this entire duration, whether Marineland has been open or not, these animals, I suspect, have maintained good health and a lot of good animal welfare, enrichment, so keeping busy during the day, but their diet as well. And so it would have to be up to the trainers and the veterinarians to be able to assess if individuals are appropriate for certain transportation techniques, whether it places individuals in tubs, like literally like a bathtub, or on soft mattresses and kept cool, or in stretchers. A variety of methods would take place, but it's not as simple as simply taking them from one area and putting them into another. It requires a period of time of training, but also getting the animals familiar with these types of transportation options that they might have.
So when they get to their ultimate destination, what's needed to be done to get these belugas used to the environment, this new environment that they'll be possibly spending the rest of their lives in?
Well, the best analogy I can give for many people right now is kind of like when you start a child at school. They've gone from a really familiar location, and then all of a sudden they have to go somewhere else that's new. And so it doesn't just happen overnight. You can't just send your child there and they're going to be settled. It requires a period of time. So I would imagine the trainers or the people looking after these individuals who have forged those relationships would enable that process to go a lot smoother by staying with those animals as well. And, there's different sounds and the way that they interpret the world would be very overwhelming for some, especially given that many of those animals may have been born in that very location that they remain. They've never known anywhere different. So it'd be such an incredibly overwhelming experience for them. And again, it's kind of like Free Willy, if we remember the movie Free Willy, where everyone was taught this animal to love humans, and then all of a sudden we want this animal to be free, but it was free because we wanted to feel like that. So whilst we have these animals under care, they will most likely remain under care for the rest of their lives because they know no other.
Yes, I was wondering as well on that point, was it an option at all, or is it even remotely possible that these whales somehow be brought back to the wild?
That's not as easy as we think it could happen. There are sanctuaries that people think are a good option, but the reality is that still is captivity. It's just an outside net around an open water environment. And it's just not that easy. It takes a long time. These animals are long-lived like you and I. They have emotions. They have their welfare that we as humans need to look after. And it's very much a learning experience from this. But again, as I said at the start of the interview, this is very much going to be probably the last of these remnant populations that we see in our lives, because the whole idea of going into the wild, capturing marine mammals for entertainment purpose or research, it's just not what we do anymore.
Yes, and of course, there was quite grim prospects for these 30 belugas in Marineland. They were facing euthanasia. How ethical, was this option? And is it an option for, for someone in your position?
Well, the thing is, it's actually quite, it sounds absolutely the worst result or outcome that could possibly be. But if these animals are not able to be properly housed and are put in somewhere substandard and their lives forever, they live out horrible lives, then it almost is the only option that these animals may have had. It's probably just in this case, fortunately, a way of saying we've got no other option, help us out. And fortunately, at least 4 facilities in the US have been able to have an option for these animals to go to. So all hope is not lost. Just know that these animals will remain under good care, veterinary supervision, to continue to be flourishing in the way that they do. So let's hope that they have a safe journey to their next spot.
And just give us a bit of a macro perspective, globally, are we seeing more or less interest in particularly large marine mammals being held in captivity?
Well, I'm speaking from an ex-dolphin trainer. I definitely see that the idea around these animals in the captive environments is definitely gone down. I mean, I grew up, like many children, wanting to be that child that worked with Free Willy, the killer whale, and then doing the position, you're like, oh, this is good, but this is not everything. And so now as a whale scientist, I'm able to study these animals in the field with other challenges. But regardless of where they are, captive environment or a wild environment, they are such incredible creatures and we have so much more to learn from them. While they remain under human care, we must uphold the best care we can possible for them. So that's why I'm really hoping that these individuals will live out a really wonderful rest of their lives, whether that be contributing to science or observation purposes. But the reality is we'll likely not see these animals in captivity once these animals live out their lives.
Yeah, all for the better. Dr. Vanessa Pirotta, really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.